Addressing the members of Andhra Pradesh legislature, the Prime Minister said, Mr. Speaker and friends, I am very happy to come over here to see all of you and share some of my thoughts with you. Mr. Speaker is very kind enough to say so many things about me. I hope that we are not meeting here to praise each other, but to consider how best we can face the problems confronting us. Unless we are clear about what we have done and what we want to do, we cannot solve the problems effectively. In our country, we have adopted the parliamentary form of democracy and given unto ourselves a written constitution. We must remember that democracy, which we profess and practice, has not grown substantially in most of the countries. The kind of democracy which we established was modeled on the British pattern. The parliamentary form of democracy is based essentially on laws, conventions, and the behavior of the people who participate in its working. The best of constitutions can collapse if the people who function under it do not behave properly. We have to be always on the alert and see that wrong tendencies do not get hold of us. There have been many changes and happenings affecting democracy in our neighboring countries, but in spite of occasional shoutings at each other, we have carried on with peace and according to our constitution. We are committed to democratic socialism, and I am very happy to say that most of the political parties in India stand for democratic socialism, though they differ in other respects. One important problem confronting India is the growth of population, which is having lasting effects on the developmental programs. There is every possibility that this growth of population may overwhelm us and upset all our calculations. In the olden days, the population was presumably much less. There was no dearth of land, and any hard-working person could acquire land and produce enough to eat. They might not have lived in luxury, but there was enough for all because there were few people. Now the population has increased tremendously all over the world and is increasing at a terrific pace, and we have to face this problem. It is therefore the responsibility of all of us to educate the people about the advantages of a smaller family. As you all know, we live in an extraordinary revolutionary era. Science and technology are changing the texture of our lives before our very eyes. The changes are coming so fast that we are unable to realize their significance because we live through them. Small changes are coming in step by step and we get accustomed to them. The pace of change is becoming greater every year, and we in India take these improvements for granted. The whole point is that the world is changing very rapidly and that affects us too. You will agree with me when I say that we have to provide for a good life to all the citizens who are multiplying day by day. When I say good life, I mean certain basic things like food, clothing, shelter, education, medical services, etc. These are the natural requirements that everyone should get. We can only do that with the help of modern methods of science and technology. It appears to me that there is no other way of doing it. In fact, those countries in the world which are prosperous today are the countries which have advanced technologically and scientifically. They have survived the initial effort of providing the basic necessities of life to their people. It is now our turn to conquer the problem of raising the level of living of large number of people of India by providing them with the absolute necessities of life. We have to think for ourselves as to how we can do that. Some people feel that it could be done by leaving everything to chance and everybody could do what he likes. If everybody is allowed to do what he likes, he will work for his own self-interest and ultimately it will end in utter chaos. If you want to achieve something, you have to do it in the best manner possible. We cannot leave anything to chance. For any country which has to cover a good deal of ground quickly, there is no other alternative except planning. When I say planning, I mean a logical, scientific, and organized program towards an objective. In India, we plan for great agricultural and industrial production. Industry is all the more essential to raise our living standards and to increase our production levels. At the same time, we must bear in mind that in order to have increased industrial production, we will have necessarily to increase the agricultural production. This inevitably brings us back to the basic problem of agriculture, which is far more important than the industry, because it is out of the success of agriculture alone that industry comes up. If you fail in agriculture, you have very little to stand upon. It is only out of surplus from agricultural production that industries are built. We must educate our farmers about the improved techniques in farming to make them produce more and more to bring India onto the industrial map of the world. Nowadays, we hear a great deal about corruption. Corruption is something that can destroy the very fabric of society. It is bad morally, ethically, and administratively. We must tackle corruption, nepotism, and the like mercilessly. This is partly due to the cumbersome governmental procedures. We are too tied up with the British system and we have not yet got out of it. The administration which we inherited was built for the slow movement of the British times when there was no social change. Now that we are aiming at social changes, the world systems and procedures have become out of place. It is right that there should be constructive criticism, which is essential for the effective and proper functioning of any government, more especially a democratic government. But it should not be overdone so as to run down the government. I thank the speaker and all of you for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you this evening.